What's up, guys? Super here, and don't mind the clothes. I literally just woke up and decided I wanted to record a video talking about the solo queue survivor experience, but also the survivor experience in general. But for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Super. Play a lot of Dead by Daylight. I have about 5,000 hours in the game, and I play a decent amount of Survivor with a lot of Killer. I would say if I really had to gauge it out, I'm like 70-30, maybe 80-20 Killer heavy, and there's a very specific reason as to why that is. Firstly, if you guys play Survivor and have an amazing Survivor experience, or call it skill issue, or whatever the case may be, I'm happy for you. But I just want to talk about why it's almost terrible and painful to play Survivor. I think that this stems from the lack of a actual target, right? What I mean by that is lack of very clear rules as to what a win condition is, whether it's a 3 out, a 2 out, and because the game is more of a 1v1 like style game, right? It's a team-based game on the Survivor end, but MMR and win-loss ratio is counted on a 1 versus 1 scale. So if the killer kills me, then they get a point essentially, and if I escape, I get a point. It's not like the team collectively gets anything. So yeah, I think that that is where a lot of the root causes for pain stem from, where we get over altruism or gamers not really focusing on the objective, let's say. Um, yeah, and it's a little rough, but I think more than that is I think we've gotten to a point in Dead by Daylight, especially on the survivor end, where it's time for behavior to implement some way to communicate with your teammates. It doesn't have to be an actual comms system. You don't have to use audio. I know the reason that behavior wants to not use voice comms or audio is to mitigate toxicity. And I understand that. I understand that if you give the people the ability to talk to each other, a lot of things can go wrong, especially in this community where it's very, LGBT friendly. That the community is huge in Dead by Daylight. And you are opening those members up and content creators and players up to even more harassment than just endgame chat. So I understand. However, I know people have been talking about this for a while, and I don't understand why behavior doesn't implement it. Simply a ping system. We're here. We're here. Kind of like Apex. Going over here. Like, something as simple as that, as do gens, killer camping, killer here, something super simple like that. I feel like it'd be a massive change to the game that is much needed and help the solo queue experience. And that doesn't inherently buff comms or squads or anything. Like, I know a huge issue with trying to help solo queue means that you inevitably help the Swifts, the squads, the people who play on 2 stacks, 3 stacks, 4 stacks, and make it easier for them to quote unquote bully the killer or to win more games. But I don't inherently feel like a ping system helps squads. Biggest reason, a lot of squads already know their callouts. They know block rotation. If they're super into the game, they know where shack is, where main building is, where the key points of the game and the maps are. So by implementing a ping system, you're not inherently helping the squads. And I think that that's something that's important to think about. Like, uh, you don't have to make the game enjoyable for everyone, right? You just have to make the game enjoyable for the people who play it. Like, how many people actually play in squads regularly? If I had to guess, it would probably be somewhere in the 20%, maybe 15% of people. A lot of people load up the game and play solo queue or play with a duo. So ping systems aren't bad. It would actually increase the experience. Yes, it would decrease the experience for killer or the enjoyability for killer, but honestly, Killers have a decent enough win rate as it is. I think by Behavior's most recent stats, you're looking at a 60-40 split, right? So Killers win 60% of the time, Survivors escaped 40% of the time. That's not a terrible ratio overall. And I know that's including all of DBD from low MMR to the soft cap. And you're also talking about different experiences. I understand all that. I mean, I win about 85 to 90% of my games with a 3 or 4K, but that's not the point here. Um, I choose to play Survivor much less because I enjoy playing on my own. I do play with, viewers and community members here and there, and I used to play a lot with community members, but I realize that not everyone has the same mentality when it comes to the game, so I prefer to play solo queue. Yeah, I'll have fun here and there. I'll meme, I'll have a good time, but at the end of the day, I can only do that for so long. I enjoy the chase aspect. I enjoy winning. I enjoy actually trying to win the game at least. I don't have to win. I just want people to try to win and make the right plays. And obviously the right plays is super subjective. So, wow, I can't talk. Excuse me. Super subjective. But I just don't know. I think that something as simple as allowing survivors to communicate with each other with something as simple as a ping system would help elevate the solo queue and survivor experience exponentially. And it'll also help newer players to understand where not to go, right? If an experienced player is looping a certain area, if someone's pinging that area saying, hey, they're over here or I'm over here, which is super easy to do while you're in chase in theory, you could have a lot of information for newer survivors and help them learn what not to do more. Obviously, behavior hasn't put in any effort for a very long time to teach people how to play the game. There's your basic entry, which is a super rough idea of how to play the game. I mean, it encourages you to hide in lockers. I don't recommend that, but it is what it is. They don't really put in the effort to teach you how to play the survivor role efficiently or to the best of your ability. But content creators do. People who have played the game for hours and hours and hours, hundreds of hours, thousands of hours, teach you how to play the game a little bit more efficiently. And I think that after new survivors watch said content creators, first thing they do is they do the tutorial, then they want to get better, so they watch content creators teach them how to get better, and then you take it to the next level of implementing a ping system so that now they can implement the things that they have learned while also telling their teammates where they're at, what's going on over here. I don't know. Also, I think that it's important to remember that Dead by Daylight may be considered a party game, but it's not a traditional party game in the sense of rubber band mechanics. It is still a PvP game, unlike Mario Kart though, or Mario Party, or any of these other what is really considered a party game. It lacks the way to help people who are in last place, let's say, to get to an equal level fighting ground. So in Mario Kart, right, if you're in last place, you have the ability to get the blue shell or the bullet to get you to a better position, more level playing ground. If you're in first place, you can't exactly get the blue shell. You can't increase your distance with strong items. In Mario Party, if you have done, let's say, if you visited the most amount of tiles, X tiles, let's say red tiles, which is technically a bad thing because you lose coins, you could get rewarded for that. Those are rubber band mechanics. And DBD lacks that. So it's not a proper party game, but it's also not a proper PvP game to really utilize MMR. It's a very weird in-between. And given that it's such a weird in-between, I don't understand the hesitation for behavior to implement something as simple as a ping system. I know that it would increase my experience for the solo queue survivor role. And I'm sure if it does that for me, it's going to do that for a lot of people. I don't know. A little confusing, a little rough, but definitely a conversation that I would love to have. What do you guys think? Tell me. Because I know that behavior is kind of making maps somewhat smaller, but more dense. So there's a lot more fillers, a lot more palettes, a lot more random tiles, but the maps themselves are becoming smaller. Is that more balanced? I don't know, but it's definitely more annoying on the killer end. And it's kind of more annoying on the survivor end because there's a lot more to run into and the movement is terrible. I'm not a huge fan of the movement. I've played from back in the day where the old movement was, and well, the old movement was, that's not even English, where the old movement was different. Not really better, but I just preferred it because it was less running into things and getting stuck on things, but not the point. I'm going off tangent here. Yeah, I know that behavior is doing things to try to make maps feel more balanced. Feel is the key term. But anyway, so I think it's time to implement something to really help the solo queue, but also not super buff squads. And I think this is the only way to do that. I genuinely think it's the only way to help to help find a little level ground between solo queue and Swifts. Some of you guys think if you guys want to watch me live, then you can watch me at Twitch TV/Simply Super. I'll leave it down in the thing below, in the description below. But I do want to know what you guys think would help solo queue, but not necessarily help Swifts, or what you guys think would help the solo queue experience. Even if you think it's been said a million times, but you just want to have a conversation about it, please, let's have the conversation. I love actually talking about things and not just saying, this is right, this is wrong. Different opinions is how games and communities grow. So let's put in our opinions. I hope you guys have a great day, night, time zone. Good luck in the fog, and don't forget to treat people nicely, or with respect at least. Later, gamers.